Hey guys, welcome back to the Spirit Tiff podcast. I am your host, Tiffany Rice. This is episode 3. I want to tell you about some of my events that I have coming up. November 22nd, I'm going to be at Dawn and Gigi's in Attleboro. This is dinner in spirits, so you get a 3-course dinner and I get to bring your loved ones in spirit through. Then I'll be at the Conjuring House November 29th. That one's sold out, but don't worry because I'm going back December 4th. December 1st, I'm going to be with my good friend Julie Clapp, be doing a gallery reading December 1st in Easton. This is episode 3, where I have my good friend Mark Dunn back on, and we go deep diving into the sought after talk of accountability and how being accountable for our own actions and going back to our childhood, peeling back those layers, being connected to mind, body, soul, learning to live in your true, authentic self, how that can help. So make sure you tune in, and hopefully this gives you a little bit of enlightenment on being able to preserve and maintain your own energy for the day.
Another episode.
And yes, we're in the same clothes.
We're just doing them all.
We're just doing it because there's so much. It's funny because when I wanted you to be part of the show and have this have this banter back and forth, and I should announce
sidekick. Am I a sidekick technically? Can I be like the side host? What's it called? The sidekick.
The sidekick.
Okay, yeah. That's
but here's the thing: I have never introduced you. You guys, we've never introduced nobody knows who I am. Nobody knows
and no one knows
are.
me.
Right.
We're just talking.
It's like you guys are at Dunkin' Donuts and we're at the table next to you and you're just trying to figure out.
Like,
I'm not even talking into the mic.
Yeah.
But anyways, let me introduce myself. I'm Tiffany Rice.
And I'm Mark Dunn. Mark Dunn
from Boston.
From Boston, Mass.
Yeah, wicked pissa.
Wicked.
All right.
So I'm Tiffany's little sidekick, a little spiritual sidekick, I guess.
Spiritual sidekick. One of my
always
BFFs.
at your side.
Yes. But we talk about having soulmates in our life, and Mark, you're definitely one of my soulmates.
Oh
and
my God,
we
you're
just
one of
connect on
mine.
such a spiritual level that I absolutely love having you be part of my world.
Well, it's one of those things where like when we call each other, it just ends up being like 2 hours. There's never like a 30-minute conversation.
And we laugh. We literally go through all the emotions. We laugh, we cry, and then we get angry.
Then we hang up.
So many times I'm like, I'm so frustrated. I just don't understand.
Not at each other, but just in general.
Yeah, like we'll just talk and vent. So I think it's always so good to have someone like that in your life.
You have to get it out.
You know, it's so important. So, if you guys have been listening to the episodes that we've been creating, one topic that comes highly talked about is accountability.
Yes.
And it's about bringing spirituality with accountability. And like,
it's so hard because like nowadays we have a lot of things to be accountable for. Like we get that life is fast. Like we get that.
Life is so fast right now, especially with technology, all these social media apps. Like I feel like I am going crazy with all of this
and everything
sometimes.
is very expensive, so you have all these like things you have to take care of yourself, take care of a car, take care of your spouse, take care of animals, and then you have to like take care of things that happen to us, like relationships.
And not only things that are happening in the present moment, even though we're always telling people, be present. You got to be present. Appreciate that cup of coffee. Appreciate that drive to work. Appreciate that 2 minutes of meditation that you get a day. But we never take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And what does that mean? What does that mean to like actually take care of yourself? Like, okay, let's say I brushed my teeth, I washed my face, I got my massage, like your health. I feel like when you're taking care of yourself, there's like nothing is ever going to be in full circle. Like I could have like perfect skin one day and like, but my hair is a mess. But then I'm like, my hair will be a mess, but my skin will be perfect. Like, or like I'll be in a perfect relationship with my friends, but I don't know. I broke my arm.
It's a struggle. So many times it's such a struggle.
Yeah.
And even when we, it's trying to find that balance. And even when people say balance and time management and all of that stuff, it's almost like I laugh at that because I'm like, where? Sometimes I feel so defeated on what it is that we need to do.
It's so true.
But we have to focus in on the fact of, I know you were saying one day my skin's great, the next day I could be stressed and I'm stressed out. So when I say we need to focus in on the present moment, we have to enjoy that cup of coffee, like the fact that we're healthy to drive ourselves to work, things of that nature. But we also have to be accountable for everything prior to that present moment.
1,000,000%, because they'll just pile on.
For you, okay, I'm just going to use this as an
no, use me,
example.
it's fine.
No, but you were just saying one day my face is great, the next
Yep.
minute it could be breaking out. Okay, so we have to figure out, well, why? Let's talk past. Like, is this a normal stressor for you? Are you triggered?
Yes.
Do you get triggered a lot? Where there are moments where, because you get triggered, your skin reacts, your hormone
Yes.
levels change, and your skin reacts, right? So then we got to go deeper back into that triggering component of why are you getting triggered at certain moments,
Yep. And then even goes deeper in that.
and it goes deeper in that.
Did you heal those triggered moments?
Are you guys following us? Like, are you like? I feel like we're getting really deep early in the morning.
We're going
or maybe
really,
it's
really
later.
fast.
Yeah,
We're just going fast. We're going
going
right in, because we could just talk about everything. So let's go
right.
back.
But it's like, it's that accountability, and this is just like your personal accountability,
Yeah.
right? We can't even filter in the fact that there are people that, you would think are accountable, and they will never take accountability for their own actions, and it's setting that healthy boundary to say, okay, that's on them, that's not me,
Right.
but that's on them.
Because you don't want to take the time to be accountable for it, because things are going fast. Like your expectations are so high, and for yourself, but also for others. And then if you don't take accountability for yourself, you can never go forward. So
right
that it happens all the time.
And people are just like it's like people that jump from relationship to relationship. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, that didn't work, let's just go on to the next,
Yeah. Or even
And
just
then,
like a little fight, or not a fight, an argument that happens, and both of you are still not on the same page. Mm-hmm. But if you don't heal all of it and take accountability on both sides, that will always live inside of you, and that's actually going to make your healing worse in the future,
right? And it goes
because it
back
could become
to
a new trigger.
exactly, and it goes
So take
back
accountability
to
right away.
people will only be able to meet you as far as they've done the healing work on themselves.
It's so true.
So they can wear a great mask,
Oh
right?
yeah.
I
And they
mean,
can say, oh yeah, you know what, it's fine, and they can
Yeah.
move on. But then all of a sudden, 2 months later, you're talking about ice cream and someone flips out.
right,
your
because
friend,
something
because
that
they-
happened at 9 years old, their parent left them stranded at an ice cream park
Right.
at 9, and so you
And
go
you're
to
like,
get
what?
yeah, what?
Where'd that come
Right.
from? Because they're not taking accountability
They have to.
for that one little thing that happened to them.
Exactly. So when we connect the dots, we have to allow ourselves to connect ourselves, mind, body, soul.
So how do you? Okay, so let's just say, how do you even like? Okay, let's say we have all these things. We're trying to tell people, to own your accountability. But like, how do you even describe it? Like, how do you even start? Like, how do I start?
Well,
Like an
all we can
exorcism?
do-
Do
No,
I need
all
an
we-
exorcism?
all we can do is be accountable for our own selves. We have to do
Yeah.
the due diligence. We have to do the work. We have to peel back those layers
Yeah.
of emotional, and like we all have some sort of weird trauma. We do.
We do.
Like
Every
because
it's always happening.
you and I could have very similar ways of growing up, but because you are a totally different human being than me, your experiences are going to be different. Your reactions are going to be different.
A million. There's so many things that have happened to me, and we don't have to go so deep right now, but we could. There are so many. We have lived so many different lives, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my 12-year-old self is different than my 17-year-old self, and my 17-year-old self is different than my 30-year-old self. My 21-year-old self is different than my 25-year-old self. We're all different.
Let me explain something to you. So when we talk about triggers and traumas and things like that, so our life is literally like a movie theater. I have a very good friend who is a therapist who I highly love. Her name is Karen, and she was explaining this to me, and she said, "Tiff, our life is like a movie theater. And so from like say 0 to 3 months, we have specific needs that need to be met, and as long as those needs are being met, okay, we move on to the next level. So like in a body, we continue to grow, we continue to age, but emotionally and physically, we have those needs to be met. So great, 0 to 3 months, those needs are met. Now let's move on to 3 to 6 months, and so on and so on. So different stages in your life, you require different needs.
Yes.
And so sometimes once you are part of a family and then all of a sudden these siblings start popping out
Oh my God.
and then you have parents that, you may think, oh, they're great people, but we all come with stuff. So it really affects how you were raised. So there could be a trigger that you have, just like you said, like I could say something to you and it triggers you from 17. So for me, I'll put myself in the hot seat for a second. I'm adopted.
Yeah.
And I always had issues with abandonment, but I never realized that I had issues with abandonment.
Until you had those arguments about it.
Exactly.
And you saw yourself.
Until I stayed in relationships way too long because I didn't want to be left alone.
The relationships help kind of see and reflect your own, like a mirror of yourself sometimes.
They are.
Or even your friendships. That's why it's so important to have someone close to you. Yeah.
I had to take that accountability. I had to take the accountability of doing the work.
And like recognizing.
Yeah. And I went to therapy. I'm pro therapy. I love therapy.
Oh, everyone should go to therapy.
I mean,
that's if you don't have a really good friend to talk to, or you do, but you can't really trust them, and that's okay. Like, we don't all have them. There's always therapists out there to help you.
And it's someone who's professional that's not going to be so opinionated with, even with your friends. You know, like, this is their job. You know, your therapist, that is their job, is to help you help you learn how to cope, help you unpeel those layers. Or peel back those layers, I should say. So with me, I had to go back to, let's see, I'm adopted. I was adopted at a very young age. I never had that bonding with a human because I never...
the skin-to-skin contact is real.
There was never skin-to-skin contact, no.
Yeah.
The first month of my life, I was in an incubator because I had things to do. I was born at 32 weeks. So I was only 3 pounds and I couldn't breathe.
Oh my God.
So they were
know that?
Yes.
3 pounds?
3 pounds. I was like, hi, I know I don't have a home to go to already, but I have some stuff I need to do. So instead of waiting the 40 weeks, I came out at 32 weeks. And then because my lungs weren't developed, they put me in an incubator for like a month. And then I had to go to, like Boston Children's Services for a very short time. And then I got adopted. So I was like officially adopted. I was born in March, and I think I was officially adopted like in July. But so those 3 months of my life, right, where you need to find that bond and that skin-to-skin contact, and like I was just kind of hanging out, like, hey.
Just like in an incubator,
just checking
trying to breathe.
Out. Yeah. And you don't realize that stuff is imprinted in your cells, and it carries on, and then...
Well, even with kids and having kids and raising kids, that's a whole different thing.
It's a whole different thing.
They are remembering, they are seeing, they are understanding. They're like in the purest form of like spirit.
Yes.
Like kids have no ego.
They have no ego. They have
and
no
we're ruining
self-doubt.
it.
Yes. How many times
parents ruin it?
I mean, that's a whole other thing, because I was going to say, like, when we talk about the spiritual level with children, so many times parents will come to me and they'll say, my 3-year-old sees ghosts, they see spirits, or they talk about my grandmother who they've never met. And I'm like, of course they do, because they're connecting, because we're all born intuitive. Like, we have that intuition.
Everyone has it.
And when you're younger, you don't have that self-doubt to say, no, that's not real, or that doesn't make sense.
They're just seeing what they see.
Exactly.
There's nothing there. They're like, well, that's what I see. So whatever. Don't listen to me, Mom.
Exactly.
And they're like, what?
So getting back on the trauma of things is like, during certain stages of your life, you have to make sure those needs are met. If they weren't met, that movie at that time in your life will get replayed until you go back and heal it.
Oh my God. How many times have I played that movie?
Yes. So it's like, you may have a reaction again, like, no vanilla ice cream, because maybe when you were 8 years old, your sister threw a vanilla ice cream in your face.
Right at my head.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, so for me, I didn't come out till I was 30, so I was trying to hide myself and shell myself since I was a kid, and I had to play a part for everyone else. So I have this huge people pleaser, and I hide myself and shut myself off. So if I'm in a conflict with someone, I always shut myself off and let them own it. Because I was so used to hiding and shelling myself and protecting myself to be someone else. So I'm always run over. But it took me so long to figure that out. it took me till, how old am I? Right. So, but you don't actually see it until you really want to take accountability for how I am, overreacting or not acting.
Right.
Like, how come I'm always getting walked over, or how come I can't resolve this issue? It's because of this one thing. So some people are like, oh, well, you're overreacting sometimes.
Right.
Could be the opposite.
Right.
So, but until you take accountability and see, or like kind of deep dive into some of these issues with yourself, you become more true to spirit, and like spirit will present itself faster. And once you start to see yourself more and acknowledge yourself more, spirit comes even more fluently. Is that right?
1000%. Because
like more intuitive, I guess.
You're more in tune with yourself.
Yeah.
It's living your true authenticity.
Yeah.
Learning to see yourself in that like I still have a long ways to go. Like, we're constantly going to be learning more about ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's about having that connection of, continuing to do the work. It's okay. Perfect example is people get stuck on like going to the gym, for instance, or working out all the time, and
or eating only healthy.
Yes, and they get so stuck in that zone. So when they're going to the gym, or if they choose to work out, you see that difference in your body, right?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's like, 4 weeks you start to feel it, 8 weeks you start to see it, 12 weeks you're solid, So when you stop working out and you stop watching what you eat, your body's going to show it, right?
1,000,000%.
So with our mind, it's not that like easy to see it, but at the same time, you will mentally feel more connected.
Start to feel
and
yes.
You start to,
it's just like the gym.
You start to see red flags before they happen. Collect them like a theme park.
And then you see it in other people.
Yes.
That's the hardest part, I think.
So like for me, right? Like I tend to just automatically be very intuitive by nature. So I could look at someone and say, oh no, we got childhood trauma age 9 going on over here. And
right. So when you're, so going to that, when you're doing readings, can you explain to people like, sometimes so of course you can bring in spirit and they can help guide you, right? And they help guide you. So if I call you for a reading, sometimes you'll call, let's say I'm someone else because I'm a best friend, but if I was someone else and I called you, and of course we talk to my aunts and whoever is around me,
right.
But sometimes you take a course and don't you kind of go intuitive on myself and kind of like bring out kind of like a spiritual guidance almost, right? Like, can you do that?
Yep.
Okay.
So a lot of times what I do, again, for me, it's because I've trained myself, and this is literally, it's my life. I love it.
Right.
And so for me, it's very easy to just pick up on, and I see it in my brain, someone who's being sensitive. I see it in my brain, in my memory, and I can see what your trauma could be.
Wow. That's almost like a spiritual therapy. It's not even like, okay, go to your therapist. Definitely not go to your psychologist. But like, you can have a spiritual therapist too.
Right. So when we talk about mind, body, soul,
you
have the body, you have the eating healthy. It's what you put in your body. It's going to the gym or like walking or doing something active. Keep your body moving, guys. It's so important to keep your body moving.
Accountability.
This is all about accountability. So you're working on your body. Your mind is like the therapy, learning ways to cope, right? Sometimes we weren't given the gifts of different ways to cope. And sometimes we were just like, okay, maybe we shouldn't talk.
Right.
Like, just like you said, you are trying to over please everyone so they wouldn't ask you any more questions than you were willing to answer.
Exactly.
So, we learn different ways of coping when we go through that mindset, that mind part, being mindful. And then the spirit part or soul part, it's really connecting to whatever like faith, religion, spirituality, whatever it is that you believe in. What is bringing you into this zone of peace and serenity? And
it's all balance.
It's all balance. And it's out there.
You can't have too much of one thing.
No, it has to be equal.
You have to have cake.
Right. Like I've
ice cream.
It's true. Like I've met the most like fit people, but then when I talk about spirituality, they're like, "What?"
Yeah.
Or even just like faith, having that faith, it's like, "What?"
But it doesn't even have to be like spirituality. Also, yes, there's spirits around us, but it's more like a faith in yourself too. Yeah. Like I just want everyone to kind of be like, okay, the whole religion thing, we don't have to talk about. Well, we could, but like in this sphere of accountability, I would say like having accountability spirit in yourself. That's like
Right.
the faith in yourself
Right.
to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you can never depend on everyone else.
Yeah.
To, stick up for you. I don't know.
No,
Does that make sense?
exactly. So you have to be accountable for that.
Yeah.
You can't depend on anybody else to be accountable. There's a lot of people that don't want to do the work. They don't see. They don't even see that they have to do the work. How many? You guys,
God, they never
everybody
wanna do the
that's
work.
listening, like I know you can relate. I know you can relate.
Can you
where
like
it's
send us a letter? Like if you feel like, can you guys just call in? I think you guys should call in.
I need to figure out how to get that going.
Yeah, like we would just want people to like send a DM or like, just send a DM or send Tiff an email.
Yeah, my website,
And just
tiffanyrice.com.
kind of like just send an email about a problem you guys have and you just want to talk about, and we'll pull cards for you. We'll bring spirits in, help you guide, and we'll try to guide you.
So bottom line with the whole accountability, whole accountability talk, we can only allow ourselves to be accountable for ourselves.
Yes.
Mind, body, soul.
Yep.
We have to be the ones to peel back those layers, because when we do peel back those layers, we're only getting to the next level of being the better. Excuse me.
Sorry.
The better version of ourselves.
So if you want to like.
And it's hard work, by the way. It's hard work. It's
it's
not
so much.
like,
It's so hard work.
I'm gonna go on a woman's retreat and everything's gonna be amazing.
I'm just gonna drink this water every day, and that's it.
Right, and I'm sure it will be amazing, but at the end of the day, you're still going home to the same house,
Yes.
to the same situation, same friendships, relationships, what have you. But you have to do the inner work. So you put on a brand new pair of glasses and you see things in a totally different light. So being accountable for yourself is the first step. It's hard work, but you can do it. Again, allowing yourself to be gentle with yourself. If you just give yourself that time, be gentle. If you're angry, if you're sad, it's okay to get emotional with this, because it's going to bring up things that you have buried for a long time, whether you thought so or not. Like I said, I didn't think being adopted, I grew up in a very, very loving family, but I never thought that I would ever have abandonment issues. When that came out, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Right.
I was never, like, I grew up with a family as a baby, and I loved them, and they showed me love. But it was like, oh, but wait a minute. The first 3 months, you kind of being tossed around somewhere.
Oh.
So it's okay, though. But I'm doing my healing work.
No, but you're
doing your
amazing.
healing
Yeah, we're all
work.
doing it. So if you want us to be your sounding board,
Let us know.
let us know. We would love to hear from you.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Until next time.
Enjoy your day, or I hope you had a great day.